Hi, I love fruit. I've got a couple pear trees, an apple tree, a couple cherry trees. Unfortunately, the birds love my fruit too, especially the cherries. And I like the cherries the best. And for the last 3 years, at least, I've been able to keep the robins and other birds from eating my cherries. Well, I've had friends that lost their entire crop to the robins. And my trees are too big to put netting up, and I don't want to bother putting strips of things that are shiny and trying to keep them away, because I'm not so sure that'll work anyway, and I'm too lazy. So, mostly I'm too lazy. So what I've done, and let me tell you how I thought of this, is a place I used to work had a, quote, problem of swallows making mud nests on the side of their building, which I kind of liked it, but they didn't. And what they did was they mixed linseed oil with cayenne pepper and painted that on the side of the building, and the birds didn't like that cayenne pepper thing in their feet, and so they no longer built their nest there. Well, so I'm not saying I recommend that, but that's what they did. So what I've done is I've taken a hose sprayer and mixed hot sauce, the hottest sauce I could find, and the cheapest hot sauce I could find. Even at the dollar store you could find hot sauce, or the bargain grocery stores, and the cheapest vegetable oil I could find, and a little bit of dish soap. So what I've done is put the hot sauce, maybe a bottle of this, in with maybe a quarter a cup to third of the cup of oil, vegetable oil, and just a tiny bit of dish soap. Now, I don't have a recipe, and maybe some of you do, so if you've got a recipe for what consistency of anything to put in, go ahead and do it. Now, if you use a hot sauce, you've got a little bit of danger of plugging up your hose sprayer with the particles. It's always worked for me, by the way, and I have not lost my cherries in the last 3 years to birds. What I've done is, in a few weeks, these cherries, which are green now, will start to ripen, but they won't be ripe enough to eat. But even so, the birds will start pecking at them, and that's when I get my sprayer out. And I'll spray the whole darn tree. And that will repel those birds. Now a little later, maybe in a week or two or whatever, when the cherries get ripe, that's when I'll hit them again, or as they're almost ripe, because maybe the same group of birds learned, and maybe a different group of birds is coming in, or maybe it's wearing off, but usually that's enough to stop all the birds from doing it. And maybe, I think, some of the birds remember from the year before that my cherries don't taste good. By the way, I would not recommend this at all for berries, like blueberries or raspberries or strawberries. This is what I've done to keep the birds off my cherry trees. And this is what I've done. I'm not saying it'll work for you, or that even that you should do it. I'm not a horticulturist, just a disclaimer, so I don't want someone to come in and say, you ruined my cherry tree. But this is what worked for me to keep the birds away. If you've got something that's worked for you, share it down below, please.